everyone.
And there are always two cards. If you look within and without, that can be used to determine the third card.
I'd like to have a volunteer
So you have to use
from among the participants to lead a short debriefing on this session. You don't have to play anymore. You can play after.
We can ask any questions we want.
Someone should volunteer. I volunteer.
Go play. I'll volunteer.
All right, I'll ask questions.
Yes, wonderful. Good job. Way to be bright. Thank you, Conrey.
Well, one of the things our group was looking at is teachers from grades 4 through 9. So I guess one question would be at what's the lowest level where we could gain, what can we learn at the lowest levels? What things that, and I think one of the things that we're looking for often is students that are lost in 6th grade are often lost for reasons. And what are they missing? So I don't know, what things could we use this for students at the lower end, and what would be questions on the floor? I don't know, I'll just ask questions. That's a long question. Does everybody understand kind of my question?
Mm-hmm. I would say, like, for kids on that end, this would be a great way to develop reasoning skills. You know, so justifying why you made moves or why you made matches or why you put something there. So maybe teaching ways for students to explain their thinking.
Explain verbally, because that's one of those concepts big in the Common Core standards is the verbalization of mathematics. And then the other part of that is critiquing another's explanation. So if I explain it and I'm wrong, someone in the group should say, oh, but did you think of, no, it's probably not right. So I think that's good.
Something non-mathematical, just use the social skills to be able to work in groups, not be rude when somebody makes a mistake. That's a lot of stuff we have to
It was tough for you guys, wasn't it? Not the call me the dummy in our
I think that some kids are really naturally gifted at that, and I don't think that it is necessarily strongly correlated to how well they're doing in other mathematical subjects. So it may be the thing a kid needs to build their confidence. So
visualization
right,
skills
so
that they
like
can see.
Real visual thinkers
Right.
might be able to succeed in this and just get a confidence boost. And even if they don't think of it as math, you could, since you're doing it in your math class, like it's a way for them to gain something positive in math class.
Diane, you used the word, and I've only recently, I've taught high school and middle school, but I've been to some elementary things, and you used the elementary word when you were talking just a few minutes ago. When we were in our group, when we were in our group. Sabotaging.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody familiar with that word?
No.
I wasn't until, so what is sabotaging?
It's the ability to recognize instantly how many without counting.
So in the sense of numbers,
For small children.
what Diane said is you're teaching students to sabotage, that they are gaining number sense by looking at 3 diamonds and knowing there's 3 without having to count. So I think the first thing you learn is to count, and then I think part of the Common Core now is to teach students at 2nd and 3rd grade to look at number sets and just say, there's 5. Or if there's 7, to see a group of 5 and a group of 2. Which with dice, you see a 5 and you see a 2, and you automatically think 7 without counting the little dots.
You know, you might also, with students that are having trouble kind of learning the rules of the game, defining what a set is, it would be a good exercise to ask your students, hey, let's make some type of organizational chart to kind of keep track, so they could, maybe, and you could have different organizational, sort of configurations too, and say which one's the best. That might help.
Anyone see a real connection to either Common Core or the mathematical practices?
Well, anytime if you're talking about moving to Common Core, you're talking about the assessments that our students are going to be required to do, and they're going to have to manipulate objects and items on that computer. As we move into the true Common Core testing, the more that you can teach them to visualize and be able to manipulate, the easier they're going to be with those. I don't know how much of these tests that y'all have seen, but they're actually having to rotate and do all these different things with the mathematical objects that they have there. So if you can give them something to put their hands on and to do, then it's certainly going to increase their thinking.
Brian did something that I think many of us are afraid to do. Who remembers what he did that I think often we're afraid to do? It struck me.
He said he didn't know the answer.
He said he didn't know the answer. And how many people in this room automatically discounted Brian as a teacher because he didn't know the answer? No one probably did. And yet he, who in most of our eyes is probably, like I said last night, he's a math god because he's a mathematician. And yet no one in this room said, oh, don't listen to him anymore. And I think that is hard. I mean, I've heard teachers say, I would never say that I'm wrong. Or that I don't know what the answer was. I think a lot of times we couch it with, I don't know today, but I'll probably think of it tonight. But I think that's an important thing from a leading standpoint. And he didn't dwell on it. He said, I don't know, and he just kept going. I'll dwell on your ignorance, maybe. Anything else that's different than the other sessions how was this different?
So this isn't about the content, but the way we ran the session, I think there was actually value just for me, my sluggish mind, in getting up and moving to a different place. I mean, just sometimes if you're stuck in one seat, then at least for me, I stuck in the same way of considering a problem over and over and over again. And if you get up and look at someone else is doing, they may or may not have the right answer, but just the change of perspective.
I appreciate the difference.
What did this do right here?
It forced us to break up our groups that we haven't done before. We're not with our team anymore.
Not only were we not with our team, but where did people go? Level of comfort? Like, I stayed here.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking.
That group to me seemed to be the one that was, whoa, I think you'd have to, maybe the kids in our class that are really want to challenge, they go over here and look at this. It sounded to be very complex. So right here is what? Differentiation, and who differentiated? The students actually differentiated.
So I like the idea of learners choosing where they want to go and stuff. That's fun. But I think in initial times when you're setting up a learning environment, you're going to have to kind of force those kind of groupings that just get people out of their comfort zones.
Do you think it would be different next week if we spent Thursday and Friday and Monday, and if we did this next Tuesday, would we be more, so maybe you build enough trust to get to the point where, and maybe it doesn't happen in the first month if you did one of these once a week or something like that. It would take several weeks to get to the point where people were more comfortable with each other.
It's a little bit different even after dinner last night, though. You know, because she was at our table, and I'm like, oh, there's somebody I know, so it's not completely,
Right.
I didn't choose my group though based on the people that are sitting at the table. I had to stay here because I've never played as a team, so I'm afraid to try to do some of those other things when I didn't understand that. I mean, I needed to actually go through it and feel more comfortable with the game itself.
I guess we have to give a 13-minute break.
Until 10:45.
Until 10:45.
Thanks so much. All right, take a break. See you guys in a little bit.